Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's of course Daniel the Norwegian guy here, and today I have decided to dabble into the discography of one of my favorite bands of all time. In fact, I think it's like my fifth. It certainly is a top five, maybe top seven favorite bands of all time, which of course is, if you see the title of the video, it's of course today I'm talking about Genesis, and the album I'm going to be tackle is of course Trespass, or Trespass as some guys of course know it as. Really cool album cover though, I have to say that. And of course, for those people who may not know exactly what Genesis is as a band, they are one of the uh, most essential bands of the progressive rock era of the 70s, or yeah, pretty much they are like one of the progressive rock bands of the 70s, alongside the likes of King Crimson and Yes, and of course Pink Floyd and a multitude of others. um so yeah, I think I'm sorry about the glare there. I'll try to sit back a little bit. And of course, this is their first album. Well, technically second album, but we don't have to get into from Genesis to Revelation. Um, so this is of course the first album to feature the first proper uh progr- I guess, yeah, first proper, I can't even talk right now. First proper debut as as far as them venturing into progressive rock. There, I got it. And of course, this album, of course, feature Peter Gabriel on vocals, flute, and some percussion and other instruments, and of course, you got Tony Banks on the keyboards, Mellotron, all like Hammond organ, all that kind of stuff. Um, Michael Rutherford on rhythm guitar and bass pedals, and instead of Steve Hackett on lead guitar, he will be featured on the next album, which of course is Nursery Crime, and you instead have Anthony Phillips on guitar, and of course the late John Mayhew on drums instead of Phil Collins. So, like I said, this is kind of their first venture into progressive rock, and it's an unlike something like like Yes, which is very spiritual, very cosmic in nature. This one is a lot more classical, a lot more pastoral, a lot more 12-string guitars, and of course, like I said, this is really the first proper album by them. So it opens up with "Looking for Someone," which is a pretty nice little ditty of a tune. Well, maybe not a ditty, but it's a solid tune to open up the album, and first proper song to venture into the discography of Genesis. Personally, I like the first half of it, and I think there are good moments on the song, but overall, I think it's kind of lax, and this is kind of sort of a problem with the record, is that a lot of the songs, they're relatively long, but they lack some sort of enough dynamics for me to really be invested in them overall from start to finish. Like, I definitely think "Looking for Someone" is a pretty solid tune, but I think it could be trimmed off ever so slightly. Second track is "White Mountain." I like the lyrics of the song, but and there's definitely a lot of good keyboard melodies, but I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this one either. I do like the lyrics though. I think the lyrics are pretty much what saves it for me. uh Visions of Angels is kind of whatever for me. Stagnate on, but once you flip it over, you get of course to Stagnation, which I really like a lot. It's kind of probably the dark horse on this thing. And I think it's a really, really solid track. I don't think they really played this one much live. Uh, and I think that's kind of a shame because if I were in charge of doing a Genesis set list, either at this juncture or at least probably in 2024, I will definitely be throwing that one in there. Dusk is kind of what kind of I'll skip it. I'll just say that it's fine, but it doesn't really stand out that much to me. And of course, it ends with the closing track is of course the knife, which is it's pretty heavy for Genesis. I really think that is probably it's easily the highlight on this thing, and in fact, it's even better on the Genesis live album from '73 with Phil Collins drumming. And that is kind of sort of another thing that I think is kind of sort of a little bit of an issue here. I do like Anthony Phillips playing on this thing. It's very classical. It's like I said, very pastoral and very very English, obviously, because Genesis is an English band. But uh, to me, compared to that of Hackett, I know maybe it's apples and oranges, but I think it does a well enough job on this thing. And as far as John Mayhew is concerned, his drumming is fine. I mean, it serves the songs, but compared to what Phil Collins will do, I personally I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of his drumming, at least compared to that of Phil Collins anyway. So, but overall, if I do have to rate this album, I think that the production is decent. It definitely shows a lot of potential that what Genesis is going to do down the line. But I think overall, yeah, you got to start off somewhere, right? And I think overall, it's definitely a decent enough start. So that I'm probably gonna rate this one a solid third, 2.5 out of 5. I want to go 3, but I it doesn't really there. The problem is songs like Visions of Angels and Dusk doesn't really do much for me, so I had to pick it down. I had to basically put it down just ever so slightly. But with that said, I'm just gonna head out. Make sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to have a discussion on Trespass with you guys in the comment section below, and make sure to share this video so we can get more people subscribing to this channel, because you know what? The more the merrier.